Hello YouTube. Let's go back to Africa, one of the most fascinating places on earth. And I'm speaking from my personal experience. And today I want to talk about North Africa. Tassili, Niger is a vast plateau in southeast Algeria, at the borders of Libya, Niger and Mali, covering an area of 72,000 square kilometers. It's located in a strange lunar landscape of great geological interest, and this site has one of the most important groupings of prehistoric cave art in the world. The exceptional density of paintings in that area and engravings, and the presence of many prehistoric vestiges are remarkable testimonies to our prehistory. From about 10,000 BC to the first centuries of our era, successive peoples left many archaeological remains there, habitations, burial mounds, and enclosures. And they've yielded abundant lithic and ceramic materials. However, it is the rock art, engravings, and paintings that have made Tassili world famous. From 1933, that's the date of this so-called discovery. There are at least 15,000 years old. That's one account. There are different accounts. I've heard 6,000 years old. I kind of tend to believe 15,000 to be correct. The ancient inhabitants of Africa depicted their daily life with the help of these paintings. It included plants, hunting scenes, rituals which we don't understand. And you can also see strange creatures in these drawings, which are unlike any living creature known to mankind. The researchers cataloged more than 5,000 similar images. And at the same time, they believe that there were much more of such paintings in the past. Analyzing these drawings, the researchers found that the Sahara was completely different many years ago. Actually, it was a land teeming with life. Well, again, unfortunately, only 20% of all these paintings have survived to this day. Since most of the images were destroyed by erosion, I guess, experts suggest that the rock carvings of that time were usually made using the same color. However, several colors were used in the rock paintings of Tassili, Niger, which makes them even more special for people who are studying the history of mankind, and maybe not only of mankind. Look, in the caves where rock carvings are found, you can see images of countless species of animals. Again, for those who like zoology, we're speaking about giraffe, ostriches, elephants, bulls, and alligators, even hippos. This is what shows us that in the distant past, the Sahara, as I mentioned before, was full of life. But archaeologists have not been able to find burial sites of people, of humans in that area. But again, perhaps the most incredible feature of these places are the mysterious images of strange creatures in helmets and suits, which according to researchers strongly resemble modern astronauts. It must be said that the Saharan civilization actually developed in parallel in time with the mighty civilizations of India, ancient China, Egypt, and I should say Crete as well, Minoan Crete. But unlike them, that African civilization was short-lived. I think around 1000 BC, the Sahara began its rapid offensive. The desert came in an onslaught, and people were forced to retreat forever, and leaving behind only the rock carvings. Again, this is what we think today. We don't know what happened back then. But there are not even just hundreds of paintings or frescoes in Tassili, Niger, but thousands. Some say it's the longest art gallery in the world, stretching for hundreds of kilometers. The images are perfectly preserved, which indicates that the climate was dry and thus actively prevented weathering, and an excellent layer of patina covering the drawings indicates their extreme antiquity. Again, some people say that the earliest images appeared more than 7,000 years ago. The frescoes or paintings have convincingly proved that in prehistoric times, the Sahara had flora and fauna, there were abundant rains, rivers flowed, and less vegetation grew. See how our planet changes, and that's only in nothing. If you look at the history of the universe, a speck of time, but everything changed. Well, historians, they look at the images of people and their occupations. The most ancient drawings painted in purple ochre and with exaggerately large round heads look quite schematic. This stage of images in Tassili, Niger, is also called the roundhead style. The plots of the scenes in which armed roundheads take part, dressed only in loincloth, are most often incomprehensible. The drawings evolved, so to say, over time. The torsos became more elongated. The purple ochre was replaced by red and yellow. But the shape of the head, it remained as round as before. And then something mysterious happened to the frescoes. On the one hand, the images clearly demonstrate the decline of the roundhead style. On the other, it seems that the artists suddenly observed or learned something that went beyond their usual reality. And this something in the drawings manifested itself in the form of images of fantastic creatures of incredibly huge sizes. By the way, the Tuaregs are a mysterious African tribe with an unknown pedigree, so to say, clearly going into the prehistoric darkness of time, in the mists of time. The area in Tassili, Niger is called Jabaren, that is giants. Maybe it's solely because of the giant images, or maybe because mysterious giants have actually been there once upon a time. Okay? Also, the merit of discovering mysterious huge images of incomprehensible creatures, it belongs to a scientific expedition led by the French researcher Henri Lot. It was he who introduced the world to the fantastic drawings from the Tassilian area. He even called one of the frescoes or paintings the great god of the Martians. This image is one of the largest in prehistoric painting. It is about 6 meters high. Henri Lot, who passed away in 1991, was a French explorer, ethnographer, and discoverer of prehistoric cave art. He is credited with the discovery of an assembly of 800 or more works of primitive art in a remote region of Algeria, on the edge of Sahara Desert. Lot came to believe that the paintings testified to ancient contact with extraterrestrial beings, and is considered one of the early proponents of paleo-contact, or, as we know, ancient alien hypothesis. In his book, The Search for the Tassili Frescoes, the story of the prehistoric rock paintings of the Sahara, published in 1958, Lot publicized the hypothesis that the humanoid drawings at Tassili represented space aliens. He baptized one particularly large and curious figure, he used the word Jabaren, and described him as the great Martian god. The popular media gave a lot of attention to this hypothesis of the prehistoric close encounter, and Lot's arguments were later incorporated into the evidence assembled by Eric von Daniken for the thesis that ancient extraterrestrial astronauts visited the Earth in prehistoric times. And in my motherland, we had Soviet historians such as Agrest and others who were basically proposing the same ideas based on their research and discoveries. And of course, Eurasian information came into the focus as well. Here is how Henri Lot himself wrote about it. The murals are a little smaller, nevertheless they are placed so thoughtfully, and the figures are depicted in such strange poses that they make a strong impression. In the first grotto, we were scared when we saw one of them, which was about 3 meters high. In her raised hand, she holds an egg-shaped object. This figure seems to rule over hundreds of other images from different eras. We managed to distinguish the image of a woman who stretch out their hands to the giant as is begging him for something. There is something scary about the whole shape of the figure, and this prompted us to christen the new find the sand monster. There is also a drawing of a huge figure with a square head in one of the caves of Tassili Niger. On the face of this creature, something like blinds is depicted, and instead of ears, there are obvious antennas. And what is especially impressive, this monster has a white tail on the back. The tailed creature is one of the most incomprehensible. Ufologists have made the assumption that this mural depicts an alien robot or an alien himself, but of some special breed. According to scientists, this is a shaman in ritual attire. Similar ceremonial robes are found among shamans from the Easter Island. But then it becomes even more interesting, because look where Sahara is and look where Eastern Island is. And if I showed them some of the finds in Central Asia and in Siberia, that would come into question too. They are separated by thousands of kilometers of water surface, and the images are similar, as if the ancient artists from the Easter Island and the Sahara saw the same thing. But what exactly? What was the nature for such terrifying portraits? And finally, it is impossible not to mention another mystery from Tassili Niger. Among the frescoes, there are images of not only humanoid creatures, but also obvious hybrids, such as an antelope with an elephant's body or an ostrich with a lion's face. Could the human mind of the Stone Age, in many ways still primitive, pure, and not burdened with bizarre surrealistic fantasies in the style of later painters, invent such a thing? Most likely not, and the ancient artist simply depicted what he or she saw, and he saw perhaps an artificial hybridization carried out by some aliens. The experiment was clearly unsuccessful for those, since the bred hybrids remain to live only on frescoes. We have not seen any. So who came to our planet? Look, these mysterious images have caused heated debate among researchers. One point of view is this: why depict rivers, jungles, and animals that lived in this region, and next to them depict some imaginary, according to classic archaeology, strange humanoid creatures in helmets and incomprehensible costumes? The ancient inhabitants of the Tassili Niger caves depicted their daily life and their experience. Why did they have to depict these humanoid figures, which, by the way, in some cases, again, even have something that looks like antennas on their helmets? Or perhaps the ancient inhabitants of the caves of the Tassili Niger plateau depicted ancient alien astronauts who actually visited our planet 10,000 years ago. I take you again the period from 12,000 BC to 10,000 BC and a little bit later. That's a very interesting period, and I'm doing my research, and I think I'm finding more and more interesting artifacts from the same era. But of course, we need serious approach by international researchers who do not discard the idea of ancient astronauts. As for the expedition to study the mysterious rock paintings of Tassili Niger, after analyzing numerous images, the researchers came to the conclusion that the alien creatures regularly visited Earth in the distant past, and that they had regular contacts with the ancient inhabitants of the region. According to them, one of the rock paintings even depicts several women trapped in a mysterious alien ship. Well, and next to some of the drawings, according to Russian researchers, the expedition members found sets of strange symbols, and this allowed them to assume that some kind of writing system existed in this area well beyond 5,000 years ago. However, traditional archaeology does not agree with this hypothesis, because in turn it means that Mesopotamia is not the cradle of our civilization at all, and it's not the birthplace of writing either. So all this is very interesting, and I will continue to bring similar information to you, mostly from Eurasia, of course, but as well as Africa and other places on this planet. I think it's all interconnected, and the more time goes by, the more we will find out. Africa is dear to me through my own field research that I had conducted many years ago in Southern Africa, and I want to tell you more about recent discoveries in Southern Africa as well, different parts, and let's see where it takes us. And I want also to show you some of the interconnectedness between discoveries in different parts of the world, and this one will do soon. So I thank you for your attention, and those who support me, I really thank you for that. And those who can support me, please find the links in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel and tell others.